Hey yo, Pizza Party peeps, we decided this video was a perfect release for Mega March.
Mega March!
Yeah, it's Mega March.
Mega March!
Sort of a last minute improvised release, but I like the idea and now I want to do Mega March every year.
Mega March!
Maybe next time we'll have a Mega Merch for Mega March. Or something. I don't know.
Mega March?
At any rate, by this point y'all are probably very aware of my hype and love for Mega Man games, along with my masterful pro gamer display. Whoop!
What was that?
I've reacted to some fan content, official content, and have even live streamed a playthrough of Viral Nightmare's first content batch. But I've always been eyeing Mega Man fan content over the years, from ROM hacks to other fan games. And today, I wanted to showcase a few fan games that I've been excited about for a while. These, however, won't include games that I've previously reacted to. Quick little disclaimer, I was working on this video back in spring and summer of last year, but due to a variety of things happening IRL and then further conflicts on our upload schedule, producing this sorta got bumped to the back burner. That being said, there may be some outdated bits of information or opinions, and I will try to address them as we go. But before we dig in, I just want to thank you for being here and watching the video. I poured a lot of time and effort into finally making this showcase video release-worthy, so please leave a like and consider subscribing if you enjoy what you're watching. Now, without further ado, let's hop to it.
Mega March!
Mega Man Again takes the original Mega Man game, combined with its remake Mega Man Powered Up, with some sprinklings of Dr. Wily's Revenge that was released for Game Boy. All three are baked into a fully customized 2D platform. While it's somewhat reminiscent of the Wily Wars version of the Sega Genesis, it includes all new custom sprites, refreshing, alive backgrounds, a new soundtrack, and enemy dialogue that matches their personalities. For my part, the music of Mega Man is one of its major draws that keeps me coming back to playing the games time and again. The music score of Mega Man Again stylizes the original OST that overall coincides with its glow-up, and some tracks even incorporate melodies from Dr. Wily's Revenge. In the Fortress stages, the compositions are adjusted further, so no two stages use the same track. Stage motifs are still present, but altered enough that you can feel the growing dread of venturing further into Wily's lair. In terms of gameplay, I was very impressed with Mega Man's toolkit. In the original, your abilities were jump, shoot, and take a weapon ability and shoot again. In Mega Man Again, you have a more modern toolkit that includes the slide and the charge shot. Your Mega Buster now has limited range, which I think makes for a nice balance, as it compels the need for you to have care for enemies and stage hazards, instead of trivializing them from a long range. And the range will be apparent. Stage layouts remain loyal to their originals, but now they are massive. Some even contain alternate paths you can take, so you can search for secret items that will allow you to access a bonus stage, which is accessible in the Fortress levels once you collect them all. Bosses, while I wouldn't say are easier per se, they do feel more balanced because of the toolkit you have. Being able to slide under a boss and land a charge shot does help to improve the pace of the fight. However, you're not the only one with upgrades. At half health, all bosses enter a Phase 2 Enrage, where they start using an altered charged attack, or in some cases alter the battlefield to make fighting them even more hazardous. In addition, once you've acquired their weapons, you can use variations of these charged attacks. This is a very cool feature to include in a classic-style game, because this was unheard of until the Mega Man X series. Cutman, for instance, has a powerful long-ranged cutter that fires in one direction before it boomerangs behind its point of origin. Bomb Man makes bigger explosions. Time Man, oh yeah, Time Man and Oil Man are here from Powered Up. I can't believe I forgot to mention that so far. Time Man has his own twin arrows from Powered Up, and you can charge it up to temporarily slow time in an area centered around you. Another helpful quality of life addition is that you don't have a life system in this version. If you die, you go back to your most recent checkpoint and keep at it until you succeed. But you're also able to restart a level or retreat to a previous checkpoint as needed. And best of all, a very welcome feature for newer players, you can exit a stage at any time. So if you feel like you're not strong enough for what's ahead of you, You can opt to leave the level, maybe come back later once you've equipped some better weapons or items to help you for what's ahead. To explain my final take, I'm going to make a comparison to another franchise I love. Mega Man 1 has always been a hard game, just like Metroid 1 is a very hard game. But if you want to get into the Mega Man franchise at all, this fan game would be an excellent entry point for you. Just the same as Metroid Zero Mission made gameplay improvements for newcomers. It's more cohesive, it's more definitive than the original with all its quality of life adjustments, and I would also say, more accessible than Powered Up. Plus, the bonus content also pays homage to the Game Boy game. It can be everything a newcomer to the franchise could want, all in one place. And it appears there is yet more to come from the creators, because just like in Powered Up, you'll eventually be able to play as all of the other Robot Masters. This update is still in the works as of recording, so we'll just have to keep our eyes on it. If you ever wanted to get into Mega Man and test the Blue Bomber waters, definitely give this fan game a go. Set after the events of Mega Man 10, the world is recovering from the Roboenza incident. Due to many robots and machines ravaged by the Roboenza virus, an energy shortage crippled the world's economy. But thanks to the efforts of Dr. Dawn and Dr. Dusk, a new energy element called Visnium was discovered, refined, and unveiled at an expo in Monsteropolis. But of course, the ever-opportunistic Dr. Wily raids the expo to steal the diamondized power source, and uses its limitless energy fragments to power up his new robot army. On top of that, he captures the two doctors and forces them to work for him, putting their Visnium refinement knowledge towards his own ends. Whether you're familiar with the series or not, you really feel the despair with this setup, and the soundtrack only adds to that feeling. It's up to Mega Man, Proto Man, Bass, and Roll to put a stop to Dr. Wily's evil scheme. As of recording, this game is still a demo, but so far the game devs have completed the intro stage and 5 Robot Master stages with weapons alongside the shop system. As stated, you can play a campaign as either Mega Man, Proto Man, Bass, or Roll. In some instances, like the intro stage, there are small refinements to match up to each character's playstyle, so you can get used to their toolkit and movements. I really like the cute sprite work done for the characters on this one. They took the Wily Wars sprite style and turned them 8-bit. But one thing that impresses me most of all is the overall level design. Each level has its own mechanics, and levels are designed in such a way that they make you experience those mechanics from a safe proximity, then gradually expanding upon them over time with various combinations. Eventually, later in the stage, you'll end up solving full-on platforming puzzles, like this one. Check out this room, for instance. We have to make all these flowers, these red flowers, bloom in order for that one in the bottom left to activate. We can't bounce off this first one without the spikes up here killing us. So the first step, bounce, clear, bounce, clear again, clear. And I did it wrong, just like that. As you've probably been able to tell from my footage, yes, first of all, I am an amazing gamer, but this game is rather difficult, which is par for the course for Mega Man. But something to also consider is that this fan game, like many others, tends to be designed with Mega Man fans in mind. As such, it's especially difficult. But after that difficult baseline, it's a balanced difficulty. While levels are designed for the moveset of all characters, such as Mega Man and Proto Man Slide or Bass and Roll's Dash Jump, all the weapons have amazing utility. I'm gonna die. The Switch Spark breaks into several sparks that scatter along the walls. Jungle Claw can stretch far to give you some mobility options, grab items, or yank away enemy shields. Breeze Cannon is a constant barrage of cyclonic wind, and you can even adjust the altitude from its point of origin. Quarry Toss can lift blocks from the ground, but is also able to pick up larger blocks that you find in stages to help you access items or discover hidden areas. Which brings me to Tsunami Man, who in my opinion had the most difficult stage and boss fight of them all so far. It kind of reminds me how I feel about Quick Man for Mega Man 2. hard stage, hard boss fight, but being up front, this stage approaches that design the right way. No cheap quick lasers for the new player or anything like that, but slowly introduced mechanics that culminate in a hazardous but fair raft ride to the boss chamber. Now, let's talk about this fight. Tsunami Man is designed like a samurai, using a variety of water sword slash techniques. He can also run across the water in his room, fire a barrage of condensed water shots, and, true to his name, uses his tsunami flood. It causes a wave of water to crash through the arena, pushing you back while you need to dodge the debris that breaks through. After dodging, you can then exploit his weakness to Quarry Arm by picking up a large chunk of that debris and hitting him to deal a crazy amount of damage to his HP. That, to me, is peak game design. From him, you acquire the Tsunami Flood, which not only acts as a screen nuke, but rushing water also provides its own utility to widen your jump range. Oh, and did I say the level design impressed me the most? Well, that was a damn lie, because it's tied with Shattered Diamond's soundtrack. Oh my lord, I've played through this demo as Mega Man, and a decent chunk with the other characters. But one thought that kept going through my head: what do you mean this wasn't a Capcom original? The opening theme, setting the tone of despair for a world that's even now struggling to recover from Dr. Wily's last plot. You have Breeze Man's theme, calling you to take flight to adventure. Tsunami Man's theme of imposing dread as you make your way through a flooded Japanese village. The frantic boss theme of fighting these new robot masters, empowered by the Visnium shards. But my favorite theme so far has to be Switchman's stage. When I think of past Mega Man games, I tend to recall them by what themes stood out the most to me. Wave Man from 5, Bubble Man from 2, Pharaoh Man and Dust Man from 4 are some of my personal favorites. When it comes to Switchman, the theme captures not only the high voltage of an electric-themed robot master, but this exquisite melancholy that speaks to the dire situation you're in, but ends its motif with a sensation of hope that you will prevail in the end. Seriously, I cannot commend enough just how brilliantly each song hits my eardrums. And one last fun tidbit. I could be mistaken about this, but I think the last 3 remaining Robot Masters are the game dev's OCs? Again, I could be mistaken, but the ending thank you message kind of gave me that impression at least. At the moment, I don't know if I have a single critique to submit about this fan game. I don't know, maybe Jungle Man was kind of ridiculous? Nah, that's a skill issue. Regardless, there is legitimate professional game developing skills behind the makers of this game, and if they ever wish to continue that career path, or hell, already have a history of it, I would love to watch their skills rise to even greater heights in future games as well, Mega Man or otherwise. As of writing this, their blog indicates there's to be an update soon, but for the time being, we'll just have to patiently wait and let them cook. Mega Man X Innocent Impulse is crafted in a style that pays homage to the 8-bit Game Boy Color games, Mega Man Extreme 1 and 2. Innocent Impulse is set immediately following the events of X4. This game's story tells the tale of how the world changed after Repliforce was defeated. And when I say immediately, I mean immediately. The very first gameplay portion sees a fully upgraded X taking on the final battle against Sigma from X4. All 3 phases of the fight. Yes, the very first gameplay is the final boss from X4. Okay, I am being a little dramatic in this instance because, well, yes, it's the exact same fight. You're dressed to the nines with all weapons and upgrades and 2 full sub-tanks. Longtime fans will have no trouble defeating him, but even newcomers probably wouldn't have too difficult a time either, because Sigma just doesn't do a lot of damage here. Also, during the final phase, both main forms of Sigma share an HP gauge instead of each having their own, simplifying this even further. The attention to detail and quality of this game is crazy. There was already dialogue with Sigma just before you enter his boss room, But this game flavors the encounter further by adding a whole cutscene. The dialogue is also refined, playing the text box style strengths to make him so much more animated and sinister, really setting the tone as the threatening mastermind Sigma is meant to be. Character profiles during dialogue, especially X, are also emotive towards the current situation. I really like this face they gave him. It's mainly used when he's cringing in an awkward situation, but it just adds to his expressiveness. I like that they're not afraid to add some light-hearted humor with NPCs despite the situation at hand in the story. It makes the world feel more alive and shows how newcomers at Hunter HQ are struggling just as much with the day-to-day uncertainties. It reminds me of how Gravity Circuit included a few goofs and gaps in its dialogue, but not enough to detract from the main plot. Because when you do follow the main story objective, that's where shit gets real. The intro stage is still unfinished. Okay, Rico's told us the intro stage isn't ready yet. The one stage that is available to play in the demo is the Snowy Mountain, where Polar Region Unit Leader Chili Fox protects a nearby human settlement. A fierce blizzard has blown down from the mountain, endangering the nearby village, and our fox friend appears to be the one responsible for it. When we arrive, X convinces the human residents to fall back to shelter for their safety, but not before the Elder informs us that his son is somewhere up the mountain, stuck in the ongoing storm. We are tasked with looking for him. After defeating a mini-boss, we discover a hidden cave under the bridge, and venturing through, we discover some interesting things. First, we find an upgrade capsule containing this game's leg upgrade. With this armor part, you can dash in diagonal directions. They even do a kick attack where you dash into enemies and launch yourself off of them. Even better, it hints that in a future update, there's going to be an arm upgrade that will allow you to do some sort of lock-on attack that links with the leg part. Maybe it's going to be some sort of backflip blast attack? Who knows? Linking combo attacks with your armor parts is a step into new horizons with the X series, and I'm excited to see what they cook up with this. Following the main path, our other find is the villager's son, Calkin, who was only on his way up the mountain to talk to the Guardian. He tells us that Chili Fox is indeed the one who started this blizzard, but pleads with us not to hurt him, claiming he hasn't gone maverick. For the time being, we break the rocks blocking the exit, and he retreats to find shelter in a nearby cabin until the blizzard blows over. We continue our climb through some fun platforming and rail sections with our leg upgrade, along with a heart container we'd also grabbed earlier after the mini-boss. Along the way, we also find some data disks, which I'll touch on later. Once we climbed beyond the storm clouds, the view at the summit was, oh my god, breathtaking. I could not get over the attention to detail watching the sun set over the mountain's horizon. Major props to the level designers here. Going through the gate. You could really feel the intensity in this scene and empathize with Chili Fox's desperation, especially if you let the text do its thing. In games where there have been dialogue before a boss fight, you don't feel that empathy quite to that degree. As for the fight itself, well, I've always felt ice-themed bosses tend to be more on the easier side, but Chili Fox, oh, he does not make that list. As you'd expect of a fox, He's a very clever fighter, preferring to attack at range and using his agility and cunning to overwhelm X. He knows his captain's strengths and seeks to exploit them with different varieties of ice arrows, kunai, and even a shield during his second phase. Yeah, he has 3 life bars, which after seeing him and the Sigma introduction, makes me believe that's going to be a common trend for all the bosses. Each time we deplete a layer of his HP, you can see his grit and determination as he readies himself for his next maneuvers. When he gets to his final HP layer, he unleashes a massive ice storm. It doesn't hurt you immediately, but it looks like it builds up a freeze meter. I didn't stick around for the effect. You're able to get a few free shots on him after he's finished casting. An attack of that size leaves him winded, furthering the empathy you feel with him. After a few attempts, we defeated him. I was surprised to see that instead of exploding like most bosses in past games, he collapses, wherein X calls in a medic team to bring him back to base. I thought, oh wow, we're sparing bosses now? That's gonna be interesting. But then, I dug deeper into the developers' plans for the game. We chose to spare Chili Fox, and it looks like there's going to be an entire system of deciding whether to spare or slay this game's bosses. This changes everything. I then got to thinking, what would happen if I didn't find Calkin? He convinced us not to hurt him. Is that why the fight ended with us saving Chili Fox? What if I had continued on without finding Calkin? Would I have just finished him off as normal? Dude. A whole decision-making system where you decide the innocence of bosses, challenging the player with gray versus gray morality. This just became one of my most anticipated fan games. For a story that's already set the tone for the uncertainty of the current state of affairs, I cannot wait to see what kind of morality-based decisions we'd have to make. For all we know, gameplay could change immensely from saving or destroying the wrong boss. We'll just have to find out for ourselves. I wanted to briefly touch on those data disks we found. Rico, the X-Dive cameo operator, will upload those disks into the mother computer simulation system. Traveling to cyberspace, we can navigate around to refight this game's main bosses. Additionally, the data disks we find in the stage will load versions of Mavericks from past Mega Man X games. In the demo's instance, Spark Mandrill from X1 and Gravity Beetle from X3. Both have their levels, their movesets, and battle mechanics updated. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them in future updates. Time to gush over the soundtrack. The Demake versions of the ending flashback to X4, the Spark Mandrill and Gravity Beetle stages, they're exquisite. They use the same sound font as you'd expect to hear if they were straight off the Game Boy Color games, and were versions of their own extreme variants. There are, of course, several additional themes I love, like the hub area theme that uses its motif from the X1 password screen. But I can't end this section without gushing over the theme from Chili Fox's stage, to paraphrase something my friend told me when I played this for them. It makes me think of starting on a road trip with friends. It's a cold winter, the way is long, but we strap ourselves in because our companionship will keep all of us warm for the ride. I could and have listened to this on repeat while working. This goes for both the original and the Epic Rock version, remixed by Coda Music, which you should definitely check out after this video, link in the description. I only have one very minor point of contention, and honestly it's probably just a skill issue, and it has to do with the dash upgrade you get from Chili Fox's stage. I love this upgrade. Being able to dash in intercardinal directions is incredibly useful, especially with how it can help you scale walls a bit faster. But in some cases, the secondary feature feels a bit more detrimental. As mentioned before, The description reads that in a future update, it will apply some sort of lock-on combo attack for when you kick an enemy, but sometimes I would find myself unintentionally kicking away from enemies or walls that I never intended to, which sends me careening towards hazards. Again, it's a very minor gripe for a fan game that's nowhere near finished. Not to mention, as previously stated, could just be a skill issue, so I can't dock points for that one. Developers, masterful work so far. Please keep cooking. I, for one, am stoked to see where this story goes. Now before we get into the last entry, I couldn't make this video without an honorable mention towards megamanx Corrupted. Now I've been following this since its first gameplay videos came out around 2010 or so. I was in my last year of college, by the way. Since then, the devs have only upped the quality of life. They've customized armor sets, move sets, added a skill tree, new bosses, old bosses, cutscenes. The craziest thing of all is that there are like 5 or 6 guys with regular jobs and lives who work on this thing. 5 or 6! You know how much Lost and I alone struggled to get together to record or plan shit? Have you ever tried to schedule a D&D group? A game of this size and quality typically takes a whole studio. That being said, it drives me crazy when I see YouTubers and commenters post up how, oh, it must be cancelled, oh, it's never getting released, or oh man, they're only making it for themselves. Because back at the end of March of this year, the devs released a video, Cyberlab. A whole-ass complete level with mechanics they had to homebrew themselves. Teleportation, screen warping, layer shifting that affects stage layout and enemy placement. And what did some of those doubters do? Okay, so here in the script I got a little weird and ranty about fan pessimism regarding this game's progress, and looking back I was worried it might come across as a little mean-spirited. I also made a weighting comparison to 2 games that hilariously date this original script. Anyway, where was I? Let game devs cook. That being said, yes, I am ecstatic for this fan game to one day be released. Just remember, when in doubt, leave it in the oven a little longer. It's the best way to enjoy bacon. Originally a PlayStation 2 original, the Megaman X8 Demake was released as its own full game around summer of 2024. As of that release, only X was playable, and to my knowledge, the game dev is working on implementing Zero and Axle into future updates. Returning to 16-bit SNES form, this game has snappy movements, crunchy sound effects, and wild weapons. The Demake designer took some creative liberties with X's weapons in this version, and they are very welcome additions. In the PS2 version, X's weapons were not great. Milk Creeper comes to mind in this instance, but it has instead been replaced with Fire Dash, which is a strong attack on its own, but also gives X some additional mobility options. There are more creative liberties that I appreciate, like the complete stage overhauls to Tundra Yeti and Gigavolt Manowar. In the PS2 version, these are on-rail ride chaser stages, one of which is just so awful. Oh my god. But this time, while the ride chaser is present, it exists to make the stage more action-packed with fair platforming challenges that you can abandon at any time. Miss a jump and heading for a pit, abandon bike and take the fight to your enemies on foot, or until you find another vehicle. I also want to give credit where it's due to the Jacob's Ladder stage. In the original X8, it was just an elevator ride that rises through multiple enemy gauntlets, ending with a boss fight at the top. Honestly, one of the most boring levels in the franchise. But the Demake actually turns this into a tried and true level, with plenty of platforming challenges around tough enemy placement. A very welcome change. Remember earlier in the Shattered Diamond section, when I mentioned that fan games are most often intended for Mega Man fans? this holds exponentially true for the X8 Demake. This game is especially difficult, designed intentionally for longtime hardcore Mega Man fans. Platforming can be perilous in many cases, and stages are designed around putting your abilities and weapons to the test. The game encourages you to go out of your way and even backtrack through levels to find your armor pieces, giving you reason to find all the heart tanks and sub-tanks and outfit your armor set with the right abilities to best suit your playstyle. Because, by God, you're going to need it for the endgame. Bosses in general can hit for absolutely absurd amounts of damage. In some cases, particularly their Enrage abilities can wipe out half of your health or more. And this goes double for the endgame bosses. Good God, if you don't come prepared, you will get your ass destroyed from the Lunar Palace to the next galaxy over. Even when fully geared, the final bosses will tear you apart with some of these attacks. On the plus side, attack telegraphs are very well thought out. There's absolutely a great amount of developer creativity that goes into telegraphing where some particular attacks are about to go off. Now, that doesn't mean they're easy to dodge, hell no, but there's always an opportunity presented to you. The only two exceptions I can think of are in the penultimate stage. One is near the end of the Sigma fight, where he uses this Big Bang Nova Wave looking thing, where you have to do this ultra precise dash underneath the attack, while also not dashing into him or the massive amounts of property damage he's done to the arena. The other instance is during the duel battles against the Mavericks. Yeah, so there's a brand new spin on the refights in this game, where instead of warping you to a boss, each teleporter will take you to a small platforming section that's reminiscent of that Mavericks level, and when you get through it, that Mavericks data is stored in the boss gate in the corner of the transport room. When two of these are registered, the others are sealed off, directing you to the boss room beyond, and holy shit, these guys really are new generation Reploids. They've learned ganging up strats. For all the other entries on this list, I know I've dedicated some time to talk about the soundtrack, since that's always an important factor to me in Mega Man games. So let's talk about it. The Demake uses the OST from the original X8, which is already a really good soundtrack. I'm more of the opinion that some themes rely a little too much on that power guitar, making it difficult for particular themes to stand out. Of course, this isn't a Demake issue in the least, but if they ever released an update that included 16-bit style remixed music, you know I'll be flipping that option on. As far as the OST goes, when that guitar kicks in during the boss fights, especially the endgame boss fights, it rips. Absolutely sets the tone for the high-octane brawls that each and every boss delivers. To that effect, you can tell the developer paid extra special attention to the bosses. From the most subtle animation to the fighting stance to the most brutal strike, their animations have so much personality and energy, making you really feel the weight of how serious they are in this version. I absolutely recommend this game to Mega Man enjoyers, but that goes triple to hardcore fans. I don't say that or anything what I said earlier to gatekeep in any fashion, but only to advise that if you want to beat this game, you will need to get good, because the skill ceiling will definitely creep up before long. Either way, when you play it, it's easy to feel the love and appreciation that went into the X8 Demake, because it was also the developer's favorite game of the franchise. Give it a play, you won't be disappointed. There are plenty more Mega Man fan games out there worth hyping up, but I want to hear from you. Leave a comment down below if you have any favorite fan games or ROM hacks you wanted to mention. Lord knows in the time it took to make this video, many others took flight, and a new official classic game was announced. Man. Did I manifest this with my procrastination? I feel like that happens a lot. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you like what you saw, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Ciao for now, party people. Hermes. Such a whiny little boy. Oh my god, my cat is getting in the way. I'm gonna He's gonna mess me up. Hermes. Baby boy. I swear. I know. Tell me more, huh? Your tail is in my mouth. His tail is in my mouth. Oh my god. Hermes, you're crazy. Oh my god, that does so much damage.